everyone, it's Sharonda from Pair Wait. Today I'm going to be reviewing Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Episode 10, Paid in Full. We have finally made it to the season finale of the first season of Raising Kanan, and it was a lot happening in this episode. But most importantly, we see some of the familial bonds that we thought would be unbreakable. They starting to crack. They started to crack now. You got RAQ beefing with Lou, and now Kanan doesn't trust his own mama. Y'all, I'm upholding what I said last week. Like, RAQ ain't it. She's still fine, though. Let me just make sure I put some respect. She's still fine. She's still scary, but she ain't ish. Like, I can't believe that she would ask her son to do something like this. I know people try to say, now wait a minute, Sharonda, no one else will be able to get that close to him unless it was Kanan. But like, first of all, you saw Unique's reaction when they told him that they were basically saying that Unique had something to do with shooting a cop. Like, even he was like, ain't nobody trying to shoot no cop. That's the last thing that anybody is trying to think about at this point in time. And I love that they show Unique's reaction, that they show Lou's reaction about what happened, you know, with Howard being shot. That's a big deal. Like, you don't want that type of smoke. You don't want that type of heat around your stuff. Like, you notice that everyone had to take their people off of the streets. And so that's just to show you how big of a deal it was that Raquel asked her only child to go shoot an officer. For the first hit that you have him do, you have him go shoot an officer. That is a really big deal. And I love that they show how it got to the point where Lou was like, well, if you out here killing cops, like, I'm out. I'm just trying to be a record producer. Like, I'm not trying to do all of this that you got going on, because you just doing the most for no reason at this point in time. And so I like that they show the reactions to that, to just showcase how terrible of a mother that RAQ has to be. Like, it's one thing she tried in the show, the contrast of who RAQ has actually become. From when we first saw her at the beginning of the season, she didn't want war. She was trying to like smooth things out with Unique. Also too, she wanted her sons to be far, far away from the business. And then it's almost as if it was foreshadowing when Unique was telling RAQ when they were in the park about how, you know, if something happened to his kid, it is what it is. Like, you two attach. That is almost like we saw that I don't know if she took it to heart, but this is going to lead to the detachment of her and Kanan's relationship. So I'd be very interested to see how all of this is going to play out for season 2. But let me get into the episode. Sorry, y'all, I just had to really get that off my chest about RAQ, because I really be rocking with her. But like, you see what I did there? Rocking with her. Okay, I'm sorry. But it was just too much for me this episode, and last week as well. So we see in the beginning of the episode, Kanan shoots, he shoots Howard. He didn't follow directions, though. This is why y'all need to be out here listening to y'all parents, because he was supposed to put 2 in the chest and then 1 in the head so he can't think no more, and he didn't do the 1 in the head because he got spooked. He started running away. His dumb butt fall. I was like, wait a minute, are we in a horror movie? Like, how you falling? How you out here falling, Kanan? So he running, and then we see that, I hate calling people crackheads, but we saw that man who was under the influence of some crack cocaine. We see that he actually saw Kanan running. So I'm sure that's going to play into things later. But we see that Scrappy ends up being the one to pick him up. So Scrappy, he doing okay. Okay, he lost the eye though, but you know, he's still okay. And so Kanan's like, you know, I thought Marvin was supposed to pick me up. And he was like, bruh, don't worry about that. Okay, they told me to come pick you up. It don't matter what else is going on. I'm just here to do my job. You always asking all these damn questions. I just don't understand. So then he asked them, like, they see, you know, it's crazy out there. It's police cars everywhere. He was like, is that for me? Bruh. Who you think it's for? You just shot a cop. Like, did you not think about what you was doing before you did it? Are all those sirens for me? Yes, Negro, those sirens are for you. Asking these stupid questions. I'm surprised. If I was Scrap, I would have left him right then and there, okay? So we see that he meets up with Marvin, and Marvin is so disrespectful because Kanan is like, yo, I thought you were supposed to come get me. And he was like, your mom's had me on something that, you know, she needed 2 eyes on for peripheral, making fun of Scrappy that he lost his eye. I said, you know what, you going to hell. And that's why you got arrested, because you was sitting up here talking all that mess about Scrappy. So we see that, you know, the thing was that they were supposed to get him to his grandmother's house. I'm assuming that's why she was like with her mom when all of this was taking place. And so essentially, you know, because they have checkpoints everywhere, they're blocking people from being able to get out of their part of town. You know, they're not able to do that. So they have to find another place to go. So essentially, we see in the midst of all of this that Famous and Jess, they're at the hospital because Lou's still at the hospital recovering until he realized that Raquel lost her mind. They tell him, they see Detective Howard being brought in. They say he got shot. And so Lou is just like, nah, I gotta go. And I was like, sir, you can't even talk, okay? He has his like rasp like this because his lungs are burnt. And I'm like, what are you finna do, baby? What you finna do? And I got scared. I thought he was gonna pass out when he was climbing, because you know the elevator don't work, so he had to climb up the steps. I was like, I know he gonna pass out. Ain't no way he finna climb up these 8 flights of steps and get to them without passing out or something. But he made it. I was just like, Lou, you trying to do a little bit too much. Just chill out for a moment. But I guess since we are talking about Lou, I did find it, you know, Lou and Jess are like very reminiscent of Angela and Ghost, because when we see, you know, how Jess is trying to tell him like, hey, you have an alibi. Like, you can be in the hospital and you don't have to deal with none of this stuff, and ain't nobody expecting you to deal with anything. Like, why must you always insert yourself into your family stuff? Like, she was like, you're smarter than this, you're better than this, you had a record label, like, you don't have to do this anymore. And I was like, she sounds just like Angela trying to tell Ghost to just get out of the business. And I know I should be on her side, but it's just like, that's his family. Like, and like RAQ said, you can't leave. You can't leave. And we'll talk about the conversation that Lou and RAQ had. And it was a really interesting conversation, because I like when RAQ tells him, like, everybody wants the reward, but they don't want the risk that's involved with it. And so she was like, I'm always here countlessly cleaning up y'all messes. Like, you talking about you want to go do the whole record label stuff, but whose money got you there? Like, whose money got you there? What do you think we was doing that will afford you the money to be able to buy that? And so that's what she was trying to get to, like, through to him. Is just like, at the end of the day, you talking about you don't want nothing to do with this. Like, you're going to forever be in this. Like, she was like, that's my record label. And I was just like, I mean, was she lying? She was like, everything that you have is for me, and everything that I have is for y'all. Like, it doesn't, you can't just block me out or like push me out all of a sudden because it's too rough right now. It's too risky for you right now. But I do like, you know, I understand Lou's point of it, because he was like, girl, like, what happened to us saying that we were doing this for a reason, right? Not to make it seem like it's right what they're doing, but he was like, we were supposed to buy back our neighborhoods and build houses where everyone can live and play and be safe. What happened to that? And she was just like, I don't have enough money for that right now. And so it's kind of like, you see, I would call it greed that's taking over RAQ at this point in time, because he was like, we have more than enough money to do this. Like, why? It's like that thirst for power, which the power universe is the thirst for power and always wanting more and more and more. It starts to make you lose your vision of why you started in the first place. And at this point, RAQ has put herself in a position that she's at a point of no return. And now she is like, she has basically fractured the relationship of the people that she loves and cares about the most between her and Lou and her and Kanan. And even Jukebox, because I mean, Jukebox was speaking some real stuff as well. And so I really like that conversation between her. But also too, let's get into this other part of it. So essentially all of them go back to, you know, remember Raquel was working on, you know, the 2 units on the floor 8 and floor 7. And I was dying laughing when she was testing it out for the first time. And I was wondering when she was like, she asked him, is that dinner? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, what are we doing right now? When baby girl put that moo-moo on so quick, it made it seem like she was cooking chicken and cornbread and stuff. And the cop was like, you ain't a little late, right? And then she was like, you know, it's for my family. We eat late, everybody be hungry. I was like, Raquel was really playing this part. And then when they looked at Lou like, what's his problem? I'm like, don't you see the Negro is in bad shape? She was like, oh, he was in a bad car accident. And he was like, whatever you say, sis. Lou is completely over it. So I don't know what their relationship is going to look like. But the plan did work very well. It worked out. So, I mean, it seems at this point that, you know, RAQ is going to be pretty unstoppable, which makes it even scarier that at this point when you're sacrificing your child, that's a person that you got to be afraid of. So in the midst of all of this happening, I am happy that Kanan actually ended up apologizing to Scrappy, because you remember in the beginning of the season, he thought that, you know, because Scrappy got sick that day and, you know, when they tried to take the stash, that he thought that Scrappy had something to do with it. And he was like, hey, you one of the realest dudes that I know. Like, I just want to say that I'm sorry for everything that happened before. And Kanan was like, and he told Kanan, like, I don't care who your mom is, like, you know, you a real soldier. And so I like that interaction, because I was just like, I mean, everybody was against Scrappy. I ain't gonna lie, I thought something was up with Scrappy too, but he ended up just being a cool person. He lost his eye for no reason, but he a ride or die, and that's what you actually need, okay? So we see that RAQ ends up getting, when Scrappy drops him off to RAQ, they end up going to Lou's house, which was burnt up. And so she was like, they wouldn't be looking for anyone here because this is already a crime scene and got burned down. So Lou is in a hospital to her knowledge. So this wouldn't be a place that they would look for you. And so when she's like cleaning him up, she's scrubbing under his nails to get the powder residue from his nails. And so she was like, how many shots did you do? And he was like, I did 3. And he was like, actually, I think 2. I don't know, it could have been, she was like, sir, this ain't no figure, like, remember what the heck you just did? And so she was like, we got to hide you because I don't know what's going on. He was like, he did. She was like, you don't know that. So she basically ends up taking Kanan after she cleans him up, takes him to the bodega, to Juliana's place, and she basically works it out with Juliana. She's going to tell the police that she saw Unique's coat. In order for the cops to be looking for him the entire time. So they hide him in the back after they pull all the stuff out of their stash house. So what else happens? So Marvin ends up taking the jacket to Unique's place. It was hilarious because the guy was like, how he played it, he was like, hey, I smell gas. He's like, well, I didn't hear that. He said, well, baby, go ahead and sign this paper then so I can go on about my day. If y'all have an explosion, that's on you, baby. That was a big deal because for y'all who live in Atlanta, a place literally just exploded from like a gas line break. So yeah, that stuff could really be happening. So he gets upstairs, hides the jacket in Unique's closet. I thought Unique was going to see him. I honestly thought that he was going to just wait for Unique to come home and kill him, but they just miss each other. Unique ends up seeing the jacket. Before it is too late, as soon as he picks up the jacket, the cops come in, they bust him, they arrest him. So now Unique is basically getting the blame for all of this stuff. I did have a question though for his girl Pernessa. I was like, baby, you know who you with. So even when he had to check her and be like, what's the one thing I told you? And she was like, don't be asking a whole bunch of questions. Because I was like, girl, like, did you not know who you were dating? This goes back what RAQ said. Everybody wants the reward and not the risk. Like, you love having the access and the money that it gives you. But when stuff starts to hit the fan, now you scared and you got a whole baby now. So I was just like, girl, stop asking all these questions. But we see that Marvin ends up getting arrested at the checkpoint. So he's not able to go pick up Kanan. So instead, RAQ calls someone else. Who does she call? I knew it was going to be Symphony. I said, baby, you too fine to not respect yourself, okay? I understand that you care about her, but like you too fine to even, after how she talked to you, to your fine behind, who was blowing that back out consistently each episode, and then she did you like that, and you going to pick up Kanan to be an accessory to this? I said, he better than me, honey, because ain't no way that I would have went to go get Kanan. But I guess it also speaks to the fact that him and Kanan still have a close relationship. But baby, it couldn't have been me. I'm too petty for that. So he ends up picking him up. But before all of this, there's a really good conversation that Laverne and Kanan have. And, you know, before this, let me talk about Raggedy Detective Burke, because she get on my nerves. Talk about somebody asking too many damn questions. Detective Burke. Let me just talk about her. So because of all of what has happened, because Howard got shot, he was by himself. You know, basically they appointed a new camp captain because they said they need a heavier hand. And so essentially he's at the hospital. He tells Burke that he has leukemia, you know, what was going on. He tells about how the crackhead, I hate calling him that man who is using crack cocaine, how he said he saw the unique jacket. And so she asks permission to basically, you know, investigate this herself because she always wanted to be Captain Save-A-Ho. And so Howard's not doing good. The man's going to lose a lung, a spleen. Like, he has low platelets. He lost part of his liver. Like, he's in really tough shape. And so she runs into Laverne because they're just shaking everybody up at this point. And essentially, they end up letting her go. She was just like, how did you know that this was going to happen with Unique? And she was like, I didn't know nothing. I just told you might want to watch your back. So we see that she goes and questions Juliana. Juliana gives them a tape. And so all points are leading to Unique, which ultimately leads to his arrest. But what killed me was at the end when Howard woke up and she started asking, she was like, who shot you? Who killed you? Who did this? I can't believe you're alive. Bish, you think that when I wake up from being shot and almost killed, that I want to be answering all these damn questions for you right now? Can you get the hell up out of my room asking me all of this? So I don't know if he can't talk or what's going to happen, but that's going to cause so many issues for everybody. But there's a really, I love the conversation that Laverne and Kanan have when, you know, Kanan tried to put on a tough face like, you know, I'm good. I did what needed to be done. She was like, bruh, I see it all over your face. You scared. Stop lying. She was like, that's the problem. We kids trying to play, you know, in adults' business, and that's just not who we are, and that's not what we're supposed to be doing. And she was like, and we're making all these decisions that are going to define who we are in the future before we even know who we are right now. I said, if baby girl ain't speaking no truth right now, I was like, can I just... Jukebox is actually one of the most interesting characters on the show. Like, even though I love, you know, what they do with Kanan's character, like, she just gets it. And I just thought that that was such a powerful revelation to have at that age, realizing that the mistakes of their parents and the mistakes that they made at the beginning of the season and have led them to where they find themselves now, but it's going to really define who they are when they get older as well. And I just love that we get this backstory into all of them because it helps us understand their characters that we actually saw on Power. So I just think it's really dope. I'm sorry. I know I'm just going into a whole other part of it, but I thought that was a really important conversation that she had with him. And it just felt like, you know, he was going to be gone for so long, like she told him she loved him, and, you know, it is what it is. But I do like the fact that she brought up the point, your mom asked you to kill a cop. Like, I don't think until Jukebox really asked him that it hadn't sunk into him on how serious it is, what his mother asked him to do, and really how much that was what Lou was saying. So you asked your only child to kill a cop. Like, you were willing to risk your child's life, his future, in order for you to be the last person standing. Because she said, I'm going to be the last MF standing up in this bitch. So I was like, that was really key to understand that. And especially as we get into the end of the episode, when we hear, you know, grown-up Kanan in a narration talking about at the end of the day, you can't trust anybody, not even your own mama. That's a really big deal. That's a really big deal because when we see Kanan, even him accepting what his mom has asked him, he's willing to do anything for his mother because of the trust that they have, because how much he cares about her. But now when it sinks into him what she's actually asked him to do, and it's sunk into what he has actually done, this is going to change the dynamic between him and his mother, and this is definitely going to cause problems. So for me, I really like this finale. I don't know how people are going to necessarily feel because it's like a lot happened but didn't happen, but I think it's really important to showcase the broken relationships right now. Also too, Marvin saw Tony Raggedy behind because they told him that they had a CI, but he was like, ain't nobody studying that girl. Y'all ain't got no reason to really keep me arrested, so it is what it is. But I'm really interested to see what the dynamic is going to be between Kanan and his mom, because that's a really big deal. What the dynamic between Lou and RAQ is going to be, because, you know, she was right. You can't leave. And she's like, you can't leave me. You know, it doesn't matter what you want to do. All roads lead back to me. So I'm very interested to see how all of this is going to turn out. Is Detective Burke going to realize that they led them down this road to Unique, and that's not necessarily what happened. Is how we're going to be able to tell them what happened to him. I don't know. I personally think that Howard would blame RAQ. I think he would say RAQ did it. I don't think he would actually try to hurt his son, especially because he still needs him to save his life. So I don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, in order to do this, does the captain know how dirty Howard is? Like, how is this gonna play out for Howard too? It's a lot of, everybody's in limbo at this point in time, but I'm really excited for season 2. I love how this ended, and I thought the writing for this episode, the writing was really good. It was some really great conversations and dialogue that the characters had with one another. The writing was like really superb for this episode. They were speaking some real truth. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Raising Kanan. Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Episode 10, Paid in Full. As always, my name is Sharana from Para Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit the notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. And until I see you again, bye.